Good evening, Sharks fans. Welcome to Pucknology After Dark, following a 4-1 Shark with the Calgary Flames. I am Eric Kura, PuckGuy14 on Twitter and Instagram. Joining me is Chris JWS. AJ Strong is en route from the Shark Tank. He'll join us shortly. Chris, I don't want to say this is another game where they play down to their opponent's levels because they're now even with the Calgary Flames, but they just did not have their heads in this game tonight, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a case of head in the game or not. For me, it was a lot of it was their transition game both ways. I didn't think they were terrible offensively or defensively. I thought it was everything for them seemed to live or die in the transition. Every time they got scored on, it was a terrible transition defense. Every time they got a good look, it was because they managed to do something right on in their neutral zone on offense. But it seemed more often than not that everything would go awry in there. They'd end up having to dump in the puck when they're going one way, and they would allow an odd man rush the other way. That to me seemed to be the biggest thing, and I think that's probably where a lot of the inexperience of this team is showing, because the neutral zone play is not this. It's probably a little more subtle of a detail than offense or defense. Any hockey player knows how to play on offense, knows how to play on defense. But great transition neutral zone, that is a big part of any good team right there. I think that was probably the biggest standout for me, was just a very poor play in the neutral zone.
Piss poor performance is what our friend Gentry would say tonight. If you are watching us, please use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark for any questions or comments you want to add in. We have some already, and we will share that. We will have that shortly for you. This loss now drops them to third in the division. With LA has won 2 in a row, all of a sudden, and with the Sharks losing 4 of their last 5, all of a sudden now things are getting tight. And with Minnesota winning 6 in a row tonight, you have to start getting concerned again about. We were comfortable and fine and dandy a week or so ago. Now all of a sudden you see Minnesota at 58, LA at 58, Vancouver at 61. That's the team that's holding down that last wild card spot. All of a sudden, within a matter of weeks, or within a matter of a week, it's getting pretty tight.
I would say it's been tight the whole time, and also on top of the fact that it's already tight here, the Sharks have played the most games in the division. No one else has played 55 games right now. Vancouver's 2 points back. They have 3 games in hand. LA is 5 points back. They have 2 games in hand. Calgary is now tied with us, but they have a game in hand. The Ducks have a game in hand. So it was already tight to begin with, but I think the Sharks just keep on making their own hole deeper. Like, they can't afford to keep on giving up games. They should be able to. They shouldn't have to win all these games, but they should be able to win at home against the Flames. This season they're 1-3-1. I believe there was 2 home games in that, or is there 3? I'd have to check, but they have not performed well against them. Florida now, they've given up 2. One of those was a home game, obviously. It just seems like they keep giving up points. They keep on giving up points, not even like a 3-point game. They're giving up points just outright when those are games they need to win. And I think it was mentioned on the broadcast tonight, the season will end with a 11 of 13 on the road, I believe. This is the time when they need to be winning games in droves. They're going to have a lot more home games still, but they can't be sacrificing these points and just giving them up for free. It's just not going to. It's going to catch up to them at some point. It's probably going to. It could very well cost them the playoffs. The fact that they are not beating the Florida Panthers or the freaking Edmonton Oilers.
And for that matter, you look at that. So they lost 2 games to Edmonton. That's 4 points. You lost 2 games to Buffalo. That's 8 points. You lost twice to Florida, which now all of a sudden they're trying to get back into the race in the East. That's another 2 points there. So you're looking at, and then one of these games tonight. That's to tonight or on Wednesday. That's 10 points right there. 10 points would put them within 2 of Anaheim. And you gotta wonder, um, as Gentry's texting me questions for the show, you gotta wonder, where is the competitiveness in this team? You would think that they want to get up for any and every game. And is it going to take them to be fighting? I mean, yes, the Stadium Series is coming up, and it will be for 2 points and everything. However, excuse me. However, all of a sudden, the the game, which is supposed to be great for hockey, great for Tatora mentioned the halo effect that they want from the game. Um, but now all of a sudden, you have the hoopla, and now it's such an important game coming up within in a week and a half. It's just, I mean, you just have to wonder where their head is, where the consistency is on this team, which has been dormant for years. I mean, it's not just a player or a coaching staff. This has been going on from Ron Wilson to Daryl Sutter. I mean, I don't know what it is about this team's psyche, but it just seems to get in their heads that they always get down, they always seem to be out, and they just continue to struggle on and on.
Yeah, more in the short-term view, we have a question from Eric Landy on Twitter, just about consistency and who's to blame. Maybe let's take this more in the short term, because I think this season has probably been one of the more inconsistent ones I've seen. Like, we're used to the Sharks being up and down.
Right.
I mean, part of that is hockey too. Like, we see the LA Kings last season, who won the Cup. They were up and down, and they're up and down again this year. So I think there is a certain predisposition in hockey. Even the good teams are going to be inconsistent. They're going to have bad stretches. But I think this season for the Sharks stands out more than any other I've seen. Like, it's not just a little inconsistent. It's not just lulls.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the constant baffling thing is just how up and down this is. And I guess the question is, like, who is at fault for this? Is it Doug Wilson? Is it the bench guys in the bench? Is it the players? What do you think, Eric?
It's everybody around, because I would think that they would they realize the situation that they need to have victories. And yes, you are going through a youth movement, but that doesn't give you an excuse to not give your hardest. I think in their head they believe they're a playoff team, that they can show up when they absolutely need to, and that's absolutely the worst possible way, because you're going to get caught, against those lower teams. And sure enough, they've had this season. I mean, to lose twice to Edmonton and twice to Buffalo is an absolute, horror. There isn't anything for. I mean, how do you not get up for it? I mean, there was, what was it, 2002? There was the infamous game against the then lowly Columbus Blue Jackets for "We Want 10, We Want 10." Outside the hurdle game last year, I don't think they've hit 9 goals in a game prior to, maybe, like, I think there was like a blowout in '07 against Detroit. Other
There
than
was one in 2010. I was actually at that one. That was against the
okay,
Calgary Flames, actually. That was also another We Want 10 game, but didn't quite transpire.
right. I mean, and 10 goals is the team record, by the way. I don't think he would ever hit 11. I think that was with Blue Jackets. And I think there was that crazy game against the Penguins like years ago. I just don't understand why this team gets down and out so badly in it just seems so sad. It's just you're speechless. That I think pretty much puts it that way.
I
So
just kind of just shake my head sometimes. The team, like I like the Panthers the other night, like it just, or not the Panthers, sorry. Well, I've been saying the Panthers the whole time. The Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, honestly, they are kind of interchangeable. They're two teams from the South where no one cares about hockey. So, yeah, sorry, they're a they're a stupid, pointless team. They're almost as pointless as the Florida Panthers. But back to the point, yeah, there's just so many times where I don't even have words for it. I'm just kind of just shaking my head at how they can just like kind of go through the motions. It's one of those things like I don't know. Is it effort or just is yeah? I mean, I question it. I think maybe it's one part the players, one part the coaching. So I think it is really some combination of all three. It's a cop out, I
yeah,
know, but it's just it feels like Doug Wilson doesn't do the best job of stalking the talent, especially on D. I mean, this year the D has been very weak. Our two best defensemen are out right now, and you see what we have out there.
right.
And then you have the bottom six that's perpetually ignored. It's been better at times this season, but it's usually been kind of an afterthought. Top six, it's been too much of a, as the top six goes, so does the whole team. To an extent, that's true with every team, but I think for this team more so than any, when you don't have much of a bottom six and your defense is not that great.
Yeah,
So,
it
but
just seems that and you're right. I think you have defensive breakdowns. Now you see what you have, which isn't much, but Wilson knew that, for the last couple of years. Um, should have done something. I mean, you got. Personally, I think you got really lucky with Melker Carlson. He's been a great force, although he's been up and down himself. And then you got John Scott, and you traded for time again. If that's all you're doing for a youth movement when you have barely anything in your minor league system, um, I think there'd be questions raised. That wouldn't fly in Toronto. That wouldn't fly in like in the Canadian teams or original six teams. That would not fly. Um, you know,
yeah, that is a thing. I guess is the benefit of Worcester moving out here is people are going to be paying closer attention to the farm system and see that. I think people will definitely have better look at it because I know there's a lot. There's a lot of Giants fans here who can talk a lot about their farm system, about what's coming up, what's next, and where
right.
it's not quite true with the Sharks, unless the people who know that are usually the most hardcore of hardcore fans. Heck, even at times I'm not always familiar with every name coming up through the farm system. So I think having it local would help with that and put a little more pressure on Doug there. Maybe I would hope to do that. As far as the youth movement goes, I mean, I think that's been a little hit and miss this season. That Carlson's definitely been the highlight. I did throw out a series of tweets the other night against Florida, mostly because the game sucked. I was playing with spreadsheets and all that. But I threw out a series of tweets. I'll probably touch on this in more detail sometime in the future when we have a longer show to do. But I noticed, among other things, kind of one of the interesting facts was 2/3 of our scoring is actually coming from players under 30. And mind you, Pavelski, Thornton, and Marlowe are all 30 and above. So
Right.
we are getting a lot of production, and not all that's from Couture either. Like we are getting a lot of production from guys under age 30, which is a definite positive. I'd be curious to compare that to previous years. Of course, above 30, it's pretty much just those three guys because Adam Burris, John Scott, or not, no, is John Scott about that? Yeah. I have to look it up. But yeah, like in Old Man Hannon, of course, they aren't doing much points wise.
Gotcha.
So I think we've mostly hit on this game at this point. It's a it's just another one of those head shakers, isn't it? Like there's just only so much we can say because it feels like deja vu. It feels like the Sharks in the playoffs or any of those things. Like it just seems like the thing the Sharks do when they just seem to play down
Right.
a lot. So L. Bryan had a question here. So which is worse for the season as a fan, or which would be worse this season? Not making the playoffs this season, or if the Sharks lose the Stadium Series game in a similar fashion to the way we lost tonight. What do you think?
Um, I think you kind of can say if you lose the Stadium Series in a fashion like this, I think it could actually be a lot worse. There's a lot riding on this game in San Jose. I mean, I think they've built it to a point where they believe that it will absolutely improve um, the amount of fans that the Sharks have. Um, Trying to get those fair weather or fickle fans to return. And if you lose that game, you continue a downward spiral where you could just end up being out of the playoffs. Um, if they miss the playoffs, they'll go back and say, well, we're working on a youth movement here, and as kind of looking at the schedule now, they got a tough schedule. I mean, Washington, Arizona, Tampa, Nashville, Dallas, LA, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal, Vancouver. I think outside of Ottawa and Arizona, everybody else is in a playoff race right now, and which might be a very good thing to do with with uh, with this with this team playing downward to a lesser opponent. It might be a huge plus. So
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably about all we want to hit on this game because it's just those things. I tend to agree with you though. I think there is a lot riding on the Stadium Series game, not just the division, or not, or well, yes, division implications because the Kings are racing for similar playoff spots we are. But I think you're right. It does is part of what brings hockey free to California. I think if the Sharks lose it in a close, nice, tight game, really good hockey like the Kings and Sharks have played, I think that's still a win for California hockey. But I think if it's a blowout or a snoozer and like that, it's a loss for California hockey because a lot of people are going to be looking at that and be like, well, yeah, it's California. So I think in that sense, I think it is a big thing for California hockey that needs to be a good game, whether the Sharks win or lose. I think it
right,
does need to be a good game.
yeah, it has to be
Um,
a good game. Absolutely, I think you hit it right on the head. You will have 8 professional ice hockey clubs in California. It's going to be a huge game. You know they're going to be pushing for all the California info on that. Um, but for San Jose, it's more so because you're hosting it. And maybe a few years ago, when everything was hunky dory and you're winning division titles, it would have been significant. But now you kind of have to use it to kind of win over more people. And speaking of the Stadium Series, I was out there today. along with a few other members of the media, as the ice truck arrived at Levi Stadium. Uh, it was very interesting to meet and to talk with Dan. Um, excuse me, with Dan Craig, who we call the Ice Guru from the National Hockey League. His official title is Senior Director of Facilities Operations and Hockey Operations. In other words, he checks on the ice quality of all rinks and is the main guy to get the rink up for the outdoor games. Age, just the technical here. AJ's trying to get in. He's having some trouble. Chris, if you can see if you can forward, get some help in here, that will be huge.
I'll do what I can here.
Do that. While he's doing that, we'll go over some of the things that I found out today. The truck that you've seen today on the news and on the pre and intermission and post game shows. It's a 53-foot truck, 300 tons. It is essentially the equipment that they have on that they have at the ice at all the arenas. It's a refrigerator compressor. It's basically there'll be tubes going from the rink to the compressor to make sure the ice stays cold. And I went into detail on Pucknology.net as to what they do, but it's the first thing they're going to be doing starting tomorrow is getting a stage, and basically that's what they do now. Rather than trying to level off the football field, they'll put a flat stage out. Then they'll get all the aluminum piping or trays, as they call it, and then they'll build up the boards, and then they'll start, misting down the ice, and hopefully, they said by next Wednesday they'll have the rink ready to go. The teams don't get on the ice until 3:30 the day before the game. Sharks will have that the day before the game, and then the Kings will go at 6:30. But it looks like, as far as I know, that they will only get one chance at the at being on the ice. I'm sure they would probably get like a private morning skate, but I wouldn't expect it to be too much. So that's with that. It was very interesting to see. And going over the stats here, it's probably going to be the second warmest outdoor game. The only other one was the game in LA, where at game time it was 63 degrees, but for most of the day they kept it. It was closer to the 70s and 80s. So they have a challenge. Dan Craig essentially said that they're able to do anything and everything, no matter what's going on, whether it rains. They said they'll just freeze the rain, or if it gets warm, they have the thermal blankets that they put on in LA last year. So we should be okay. Unless there's like a massive downpour, in that time. So we'll be playing on February 21st, no matter what. So, but with that, that's in the future. Let's take a look at the past as.
Oh, there it is!
And look who it is.
Live and direct from an Uber car.
Guys, like literally, I'm in the back of a fucking Uber car, guys. I shit you not. Look behind me. Dude, I'm in the back of a fucking Uber car. and I've already had like 4 IPAs. and I'm not even sure what else I had. But
Gee, we couldn't tell at all, AJ.
but
Ladies and
hey,
gentlemen, joining us, AJ Strong.
hello, hello.
Regular Sunday morning.
Yes.
for AJ.
So, oh my God, watching the game tonight. I'm not going to say that Todd McClellan was trying to do the shit on purpose, but holy crap, how many times did we look out there when somebody was getting off their line change too late? Like Hurdle was out there with the first line going, hey, I remember Thornton. Hey, this was good times. You're like, what? Hey, what's up? Dude, get off the goddamn, oh, boom, goal against. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it seemed like they were all off a little bit tonight, and let alone, yeah.
The neutral zone was definitely a mess all around. I thought to me that was the biggest thing about that game.
I'll tell you, watching the game live, as we were there, I kept leaning into my buddy Brett, talking about how fast the Calgary transition game was, and that the Sharks clearly weren't prepared for it, despite seeing it a week earlier. Their transition was so fast, even on the power play. When the Sharks were on the power play, the Calgary penalty kill, they were just Johnny on the spot, man. They have speed that people aren't even recognizing right now.
Right.
Yeah, they're a very fast team, and unfortunately, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for a while here. I noticed, yeah, they're young guys. Not only are they fast, but they're very sharp. They seem to know their spots, because I think it's part of our problem with our transitions each way. Is I think we have a lot of young guys who aren't really well versed in that stuff, and maybe that's because this coaching staff hasn't really had to coach a lot of young guys, and that maybe that's an adjustment that needs to be made.
A little bit of you have a lot of team chemistry building around Calgary. It's something that we saw when we had Sturm, Marlowe, Corliuk, that little group in the late 90s, early 2000s kind of just rise up, and you had little bits and pieces come up here and there, and they all just seem to gel, and that's what's happening in Calgary right now. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the same thing is happening in San Jose, and all I gotta say is tomorrow's episode on Epics is going to be very, very interesting to watch.
Now you
See
talk
how
about
this team.
you talk about tomorrow. The thing that I'm most pissed off about is Wednesday night. I'm a huge Navy guy. How do they not hold the the whole Navy retirement ceremony on Sunday when they're facing the very team that traded him back so he could retire as a Shark?
Easy, AJ. That's the press conference. We don't know for sure if that's going to be
Navy
night or not.
Oh, it's happening. I bet. Just like
Dude,
Chris.
You think they're going to pass up an opportunity to sell shit? Like, come on.
Chris, just like you bet me that Navy would be back here this season as a Shark, I'm betting you they're retiring Navy on Wednesday. I wish they could wait until Sunday against Tampa. That would be awesome, because I'm going to that game with a person that is quite delightful. I can't wait to hang out with her. But the thing is, it would be so awesome if they did it with Tampa Bay. They're not going to do it. Let's just deal with it. Okay, it's fine.
Okay, I'll bet you an IPA next time we're ISO beers that it won't be Wednesday.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Wednesday, bro. It's going to be Wednesday. But the one thing that I wanted to know...
digital shake on this one?
Yeah, digital shake. But the one thing I've wanted to know... next segment. The one thing that I've wanted to know is, Eric, what the hell were you doing at Levi's today?
Pucknology has grown in its infancy. It was the same thing like I did in September. I have press access for the Stadium Series throughout, and I just started touching on that with, like I told everybody else, go to Pucknology.net. I went on a full-on write-up about how the heck they're going to build this thing in pretty much in 7-8 days. But I have this. This is
dear
all
Lord.
the stuff that's
So
going
the short
on.
answer to my question was fucking Eric knows people.
I do now.
How many IPAs, AJ?
Yeah, how many?
At least 4, man. It's
Cool,
not
cool.
who you know, it's who Eric knows.
I can't wait to see you on Sunday.
Sunday, bro. Sunday.
Yes, Sunday. Me and Gentry will be there.
Sunday.
Sunday. And you know what's really cool?
Everything must go. Brave Digger and Bigfoot.
I will say one of the coolest things about hanging out tonight, besides welcoming some Calgary fans to the tank, and every Calgary fan I talked to tonight was very cool. Kudos to the Calgary folks. But there was a couple that I saw, and you're going to love this. You want to talk about retro? There was a couple that I saw tonight rocking the old school Valentine's Day jerseys from years past. One of them rocking a Nieto, of course, from last year. But the guy that she was with rocking a Brad Winchester Valentine's jersey. How cool is that?
Brad Winchester. Wow.
Fucking Winchester, man.
That's not too long ago, but wow.
That's still retro.
That's still decently long ago. Although I imagine that one would probably went with the bidding for like 250 or something. So I may already owe you an IPA here, AJ, because according to L. Brian in the chat, they mentioned on CSN that they will be doing it on Wednesday. So
hey.
I don't understand why they like it. Yeah, it just seems like if you waited a week to have you have a press conference to get up official Nabby night, and wait a week or so for that and say, hey, buy all your tickets. Come on, people, buy your merchandise. I already imagine the shop is already working in overtime trying to make sure there's plenty of Nabby jerseys to sell, though.
Right, and
that makes a whole lot of sense. But for me, it all comes down to doing it with the team that you made the deal with. It just happens to be the Tampa's coming into the barn this Sunday, so that's where I would put it. But you know what, Chris, you make a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you make a great point. The Sharks clearly haven't gotten it. I don't know that they're going to be able to burn up that many Nabby shirts in like 2 days, but hey, stranger things have happened.
Well, I mean, like last year with Hurdle, like when he had his 4-goal game, apparently they paid like their entire staff overtime to work all damn night printing as many freaking Hurdle jerseys as they could. So as soon as the store opened the next day, they were like sold out of Hurdle jerseys in the first hour because people were just coming in droves to buy it. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're doing, I don't know if they're working 24/7, but they're probably telling them, get the Nabby merchandise ready because, milk it for all it's worth.
Oh, really?
All
right. Hey, check this out. So I'm just getting out of my Uber car. I will join you folks in a moment on an actual computer. But you know what? Hey, look, I just scored 3. What the hell are these things called again? Souvenir cups. No, there's 3 in here, dude. 3 souvenir cups. 3 souvenir cups with the Hurdle thing and a bottled water. Fuck you both, man. Stop laughing at me. Say at the very least. Okay, we're on the air right now. Say hello to my buddy Brett. Say hello to my Uber driver. Hello. See, driver. See, AJ is driving home sober, so stop laughing at me. Right,
drive sober or get pulled over.
Say what?
Drive sober or get pulled over.
That's right. That's right. And remember, as Troy Clardy says, you're a motherfucking idiot if you drive drunk, right?
I think that's Damon Bruce mostly, but yeah. Anyways, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll see you in a few.
All right. Should I get off the phone now and just get on the computer because this is retarded, isn't it?
Yeah. Go for it.
Jeez.
Okay.
Go.
Eric, calm down.
Meanwhile, while AJ gets situated, let's go back to the tweets from Shin Thanatos 44. He's got a couple of them saying, I think the Sharks don't really deserve a cup the way they've played, which is quite understandable. He also says, are the Sharks just a better-looking Oilers? I mean, the way they throw games is just so frustrating.
Yes, they're better than
They're a better team than the Oilers. They're a better team than the
Yeah.
Oilers. The problem is that whole thing of hard doesn't work hard. And personally, I don't think the hard work isn't isn't isn't
I,
working very hard right now.
I think
Um,
it's the details more than the hard work. It's just the little bits in the kind of, as Drew Remendo always likes to talk about, details, details, details. Just,
Absolutely.
especially like transition game tonight. Missing all, there was, like, who was it on the transition that led to that first goal that kind of was, it was a combination of Tierney and whoever the defenseman on the far side was, did not communicate well, kind of set up that wide open shot in the slot there.
Right.
I think it's more details than his work ethic. I mean, they're nice, definitely. It seems like there's work ethic issues, but yeah, I would say this team is definitely better than the Oilers. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, if you have to ask that question, you have not watched much of the Oilers, because the Oilers,
Well,
oh my God.
and it's almost to the point where there's a certain amount of terms I have with the Sharks, and I've been kind of using it here and there for a few years. One of which is the not give a puck effort, which is one of the games that they would have against the lowly teams. Um, you know, they get down, they're out of it, and then all of a sudden they have like this unbelievable third period where they come back. Either they get within one, and I call the one that gets them within one the teaser goal alert, because that's the one that gets you like, oh gosh, we're only down by one with a minute to go. Kind of like that Carolina game where Marlowe scores to make it 5-4, and then nothing comes up of it. Um, this team just continues to just, you know, let them, they go down 2-0, and it's like, oh God, jeez, it's just so done. Where was the team that beat LA nothing and 5-3 down in 2011 to win them 6-5? And that's the resiliency and the confidence and the swagger this team needs. Not just in the playoffs, but in the regular season, because as you've seen, like we talked before, 2 games against Calgary, 2 games against Edmonton, 2 games against Buffalo, 2 games against Florida. I mean, those 8 games, 16 points, now you're in the division lead. And we all know that the team can be playing better than that. They have a great talent, they just need to use it. And you can't use, oh, it's a hot goalie, or or this guy just dominated. Yeah, that's great and all, but here's the thing: Yuri Hudler has been killing us for years, and he's done it the last 3 games that the Sharks have played Calgary, and they still haven't figured something out. I mean, that could be their Martin Jelena of 2015. So it's it's frustrating for sure, and I can certainly sense the frustration, which is why a lot of people haven't gone back to the Shark Tank, which is why they haven't had many sellouts for the sellout streak for this entire year.
Yeah, and tonight was another, came out short of the sellout by about 400. It's not much, but again, it's a pattern.
Right.
So I think even in all those years where it was like constantly a sellout, we all know that there were a lot. They could have probably filled that building with close to 20,000 fans, because there are so many fans who probably couldn't go because tickets were too expensive or whatever. But yeah, this year has been that year where it's just been probably, it is just very frustrating. So we touched on it already, but let's talk Nabby. So traded today to us from the Tampa Bay Lightning for, I believe the term was future considerations, which basically means we'll huck them half a ham sandwich or something. But
Right.
that'll be those future considerations. We all know what this was. This was never like I was kind of face palming at someone who suggested that he might play. Like, no, he's not going to play. If we wanted him, we would have grabbed him on waivers a week ago.
Right. Exactly.
This is just simply a negotiated, hey, we'll toss them a little something, which is probably nothing, so that we can officially have an exchange. You come here, you retire. We have our little, we honor you. Say, hey, it's Navi. I'm not going to get as emotional as you guys get about Boyle, but Navi is arguably my favorite Shark of all time. It's hard to pick one, but he's
Eric.
He came around right around the time, I'm the youngest here on the podcast, and right around the time I was really trying to watch hockey a lot. That's when Navi was coming around, and that's he was a big reason why I started loving the Sharks as much as I do. So I am sad to see Navi go. I was sad to see Navi go years ago. I'm sad to see him retiring now, but I'm glad he does get to finish up in the right place. He gets to finish up in Jose and quote unquote be a Shark when he retires.
Well, he gets to finish up not only in the right place but in the right jersey, which, in case you weren't aware, I am actually
not show your
throwing down.
Nice.
Oh, did I not throw? Oh, okay, I thought I'd throw.
And I think you're just on your camera.
I'm sorry. I thought I was throwing it down. Okay, I actually do have okay, screw you guys. Hold on for a second.
Oh no, he's taking off clothes now.
Okay, here we go. No, I still have it.
No,
okay, so I'm just showing you. No, I have it. The Nabokov jersey, but
number 35
with the real number. And in fact, I have a great story about it. And I don't know if you can see it hanging, the hat hanging back there, but it actually says 35. I tweeted it out earlier today. The best thing, great story. I go to the Shark Tank, and I go with my dad, and my dad says, okay, we're going to get a jersey tonight. And I said, okay. And I tell my dad, I'm like, okay, well, who do you want to get? And he goes, my dad, he's from Texas. He doesn't know that much about the Sharks. I'm a little more versed in it. And I said, okay, if you want to get a blank one, go ahead and get a blank one. Watch some games. Figure out who the player is that you like and blah, blah, blah. But I want a Nabi jersey. Now, this is, I want to say, like 04 or so. And this was the season that Nabokov changed from 35 to 20 because Gary Suter left.
Right.
And so 20 was available. And, of course, when that happened, Toskala took 35. So I go to the jersey making area of the Shark Tank, and I write down, I fill out my little thing where it's like, if you fill this out, you will get your jersey before, halfway through the second period is over. Okay,
right.
Great. So I fill it all out. The girl comes up to me, hands me this black jersey, and it says, Nabokov, number 20. And I hand it back to her, and I said, this is not one I ordered. And she brings out the order form that I had filled out, and somebody, I don't know who, took the 35, crossed out the 35, and wrote 20. And I go, the hell is it? And she with this very, she was so placating. She's like, let me placate. Do you understand that Nabokov wears 20, not 35? And this is like a 17-year-old girl. And I'm like, honey, do you understand when he came into the league, he wore 35? I have a goddamn hat that I bought here 2 years ago that shows that he wore 35. And so you did that on purpose? And I was like, oh my God, get away from me. Just get away from me. Bring me back the jersey that says Nabokov 35. That is the Nabokov that I remember. He can wear Gary Suter's number. That's fantastic, and that's good for him. That was the number that he really wanted. But you need to get away from me because, to me, Nabi wears 35. So, but it was very funny. Hey, I've had a few drinks. Piss off.
No, I wasn't being sarcastic. That's a fun story. But
cool story, bro. Fuck off.
Question for the chat from our favorite username of all time, Chris Petro, with the
Hold on.
0.
Zero.
Can I? I'm sorry. Before you get into that, and I know that I've talked a lot because I've had a few drinks. Do you know? And I just wanted to say this: the first time that you ever said Crispy Churro with the 0, I thought that was his actual username. That his username was Crispy Churro, WITHTHE0. Like I thought it was actually with the 0. I still think that was awesome. But go ahead. Well, it's awesome.
Either way, it's awesome. But said better Nabby save on Richards in the 08 semifinals or on Owen Nolan in the 08 quarterfinals. So let's before you guys answer this real quick, let's add a second part to that question. You can pick which one of those two you like, but also what is your favorite Nabby moment of all time?
Oh.
Well,
I want to go first, but I'll
or otherwise. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead,
We're looking at your stealing is very cool here.
Sorry. No. For me, I have a few very specific moments when it comes to Nabby. For me, it was the debut, Patrick Waugh in the Pepsi Center, overtime, back when there was overtime and there were no shootouts. Seeing Nabby step in, as for his debut, it was almost kind of like how Grosnick debuted, where you didn't expect a lot, and out of nowhere, you were like, wow. Like, where did this come from? Why have we been holding on to this? So for me, it's to answer your question, it's Nabby stoning Owen Nolan because that was straight up thievery. But when it comes to favorite Nabby moments, no, it's always going to be his debut against Patrick Waugh, arguably the best goalie to ever play the game, taking him to double overtime in a 0-0 tie. That was fucking fantastic. Of course, the goal against Vancouver in Vancouver, one of the only, the only Russian goalie?
The only European goaltender and the only goaltender to score a power play goal.
There you go. So, yeah, the only goaltender to score a power play goal.
3 less career goals than John Scott.
But to top it all off, and I think this is one of the things that a lot of people, once I saw that Nabby was retiring, the thing that popped into my head today, which I don't think a lot of people remember, is when he went to the All-Star game, and typically All-Star games are free-for-alls. There's no defense. It's just, everybody just pile onto the goalie, blah, blah, blah. But back when Nabby played in the All-Star game, he played during the second period. He was the first goaltender in I don't even know how long, like 20, 22 years, whatever it is. I'm sure one of you guys would know better than me, but I just have a very vivid memory of Nabby being the first goaltender in forever to pitch a shutout in an All-Star game when defense doesn't matter, and Nabby threw a shutout, and I don't think he gets enough kudos or respect for throwing that down. So those are my memories of Nabby.
But you hit those right on the head. To answer the question first, as much as I love Nolan and that stage, that was a great one. However, the one on Brad Richards in the 08 playoff against Dallas in Game 6, I believe, that was the one that we eventually lost in like 4 overtimes. That was just sheer robbery. I mean, my goodness, we saw it on the pregame and intermissions tonight. It was just insane. Most of those times, you can never find a goal or a stop like that. That's going in. That's game over. Shaking hands. To talk about what AJ was talking about when the All-Star game, that was going to bring up my moment, my favorite moment, because the time he scored a goal is one thing, but he stopped two breakaways on Ilya Kovalchuk, who was at the time in Atlanta, which was where they had the All-Star game taking place. And Kovalchuk was so pissed he broke his stick and threw it at the end of the period. And I'm still to this day trying to figure out the goaltender had a shutout in the All-Star game and didn't get MVP. because that was one of those amazing uh, performances in an All-Star game where you have to actually stand back and go, "Wow, that was damn good. That was damn good."
He was
So,
amazing.
Yep.
yeah, and he was one of the there was Irbe. He had some unbelievable saves, especially when he would do the splits. I remember one game against Toronto. I was like, "Ow, how the hell did he do that?" Nabby was just be like, there were times where he would just stop nothing, wouldn't let in anything. Yes, there were times where he had his bad games. I mean, let's be real here. He had some crappy games too, and
And you
pretty
know
much
what?
sat the entire '06 playoffs because they went with Tosca that year.
Yeah, but you know what? There's, show me the goaltender that hasn't had, a string of crappy games. But
Yep.
Sure.
for me, though, with what Eric was talking about, and all it did was remind me of, and to be honest with you, all it did was piss me off, was thinking back to the season that Naby was a Vezina finalist. And if you actually look at the
Oh my
numbers,
gosh.
Naby should have won it that year. And I
Yep.
thought that was highway robbery. If he plays in the East, he wins it.
Oh,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
that's reality always with being on the West Coast. You have to be more than exceptional. You have to steal everything.
Well,
For
and
me,
you know what I love about that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the thing that I love about that is the hindsight. Just like Skinner winning over Couture. Can you
Mhm.
find me any team in the NHL that would take Skinner over Couture at this point? You'd be hard pressed. He should have won it
Absolutely.
that year too. But I'm sorry,
yeah,
Chris. Go ahead.
Couture wasn't just disqualified by the West Coast thing. It was also, I think they also kind of had a bias against. I don't know if there's a term for it, but I guess maybe Skinner was the more natural rookie since Couture technically had more game, had some more game experience and he was more of a pure rookie. But in that case, I just think they should be changing that standard to either it's pure rookie or you don't hold it against someone who has a few games in the year before. For me with Naby, I'm going to go with the Olin Nolan save. I mean, both of them were incredible. Because I just remember that game very distinctly because I remember I was at the Brit in Cupertino with my friend and just watching that replay. Just remember just like seeing like the overhead angle of the crease, like you just see nothing but blue paint. You see the puck. Suddenly, this glove comes out of nowhere, reaches across the entire camera angle, and snatches it out of the air. It's like, how the hell did he do that? That was an unbelievable save.
It was thievery, dude.
My favorite overall Naby moment though was the other game where in question here. Just that clinic he was putting on. It's sad that they eventually lost that game, but he was just putting on a clinic in against Dallas in that game, trying desperately to hold the Sharks. It wasn't just the Richard save was amazing. There was just save after save after save. He was not letting anything. And I remember the next day, like being in my 7 a.m. class, and like a bunch of people were just kind of and like he's like, why is everyone just so dead today? Even more dead than your average 7 a.m. class. They're like, yeah, the Sharks.
The Sharks. Of
Yeah,
course.
I mean that's how it was. Like, yeah, you like he was even more dead than your average 7 a.m. class.
Like you sound like that little kid from the water. No, not the Water Boy. Big Daddy is about the Jets. The goddamn Sharks.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like, man.
it was. Yeah, it was so disappointing, but that was an
Uh-oh.
amazing game.
You guys are starting to
There's
break
somebody-
up a little bit. Can you guys still get me?
No, we got you.
Oh, we get you. We get you like nobody else can, Eric.
Nobody understands
Oh.
you. We have another vote by Killa Shark 400 votes for the save on Nolan there. And he also wants Naby for goalie coach, which I wouldn't object to.
I wouldn't object to
I-
him at all because you know what? He stuttered. He studied under the man Strelo.
Absolutely.
was
I
the
think
man.
I think that's a huge thing. Kind of helps reduce down Wayne Thomas's roles a little bit. Nabokov being the goalie coach here in San Jose, both teams, it makes a ton of sense.
Not to mention the fact that isn't Nabby like local dude? He like lives here. He like hangs with Thornton in the off season.
But we don't want people who just want to live here, AJ.
Oh, burn.
Wow, way to pull that moldy oldie. Oh, no, wait, that's not a moldy oldie. That's only
not.
like 6 years. That's 6 weeks old. No, 6 months old. God damn, I need to stop drinking. Okay, go ahead. You guys talk. I'll just watch.
Oh, my God.
Is it 6 years?
On,
I'm not quite sure.
Dude, like literally like 4 or 5 Lagunitas in. And I will say that is, if there's one thing to because I know that there's been talk, and I don't know how much you can actually, how much weight you can hold with that talk, but I know there's been a couple people that have talked about building the Sharks a new arena, whether it's in San Jose, whether it's next to Levi Stadium, wherever it is. I know that there has been like a scotch of talk about that, which I think would be awful because, let's be honest, the Shark Tank delivers so much revenue to downtown, whether it's San Pedro Square, Original Gravity. I mean, you think about all the different places that the Shark Tank, Patty's, oh my God, Patty's, Poorhouse Bistro, so many fantastic places downtown that the Shark Tank delivers revenue to. I don't know why in the world they didn't want to move it. Now, I can understand why they might want to rebuild it because, oh, well, we kind of built this a year or 2 or 3 before we understood the revenue of corporate suites. Okay, fine. But for
remodel
me,
the damn thing.
I'm sorry?
I said remodel the damn thing. Add suites. I mean, it's not like I don't think the construction is that prohibitive.
It could be
tough. A little tough too.
Yeah, it could be tough. I mean, you can look at what Oakland did to the Oakland Arena, or what was originally the Oakland Arena, and now Oracle or Network Associates or whatever the hell they want to call it this week. Yes, you can make those changes, but for me, the tank is perfect the way it is. I wouldn't want to change a thing.
Nothing. You're not even the whole leaning thing. Yeah.
Oh my God, the whole leaning forward. You know what? I've been going to games there for 20 years now, and for literally over 20 years, I think I can remember one time where I gave the guy in front of me a gentle tap and said, hey, bro, can you, lean back a little bit, please? You're blocking the view. And this was like probably over 10 years ago. And for some reason, that one particular fan, and he was wearing Sharks gear. He wasn't wearing gear of the opposing team, but he was a bit of a douche. And he was like, whoa, what's the problem? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, dude, look behind you, dude. You lean in front, you're in the second row. You're blocking like the 10 rows behind you. So anyway, I only say that because I was at a game, I think about a month or so ago, and I was, there were free tickets, but I think we're like 10th or 11th row, the upper deck behind where the Sharks shoot once. And we got about 5 minutes into the game, and there was a dude. We were like in the 10th row. There was a dude in the 5th or 6th row who was just Mr. on the edge of his seat. And, there was 2 stoppages in play, and after the second stoppage in play, I leaned over my buddy Brett, and I'm all, dude, one more intermission. If this guy doesn't get the hint, man, I got to go down there and say something. And then there are people behind me going, hey, lean back, And so finally, third stoppage in play, and this guy is still on the edge of his seat. And to be honest with you, he does have that kind of look as like, this is my first Sharks game ever. But I just take a couple steps down. Luckily, I was on the aisle. Take a couple steps down, and I just give him a little tap on the shoulder. I'm like, hey, bro, you do us all a favor. You lean back during the play because there's 18, 19 rows behind us. We can't see with you leaning forward. If you could lean back, you'd help us all out. appreciate it, you know. And I turned around and went back to my seat. And when I went back to my seat, the two guys sitting behind me and the two guys behind them both gave me high fives, and they were like, "Hey, good looking out, bro, man. We couldn't see shit."
Oh, that's good. That's good. The catch why you have that is how the tank was built. They already had the architecture to where it was that octagonal design. It was mainly built for basketball, where it was kind of like situated where how Arco Arena is, well, not Arco Arena, what is it, City Train Arena in Sacramento, where if you put a hockey rink in, you're essentially taking out the boards. It almost looked like when the Coyotes first came into the league, or moved from Winnipeg. So they had to do this last minute things, which is why you see the walkway to the penthouse suites essentially kind of hang over the street of the building rather than stay within. With that, let's kind of wrap things up here. We got.
Well, did you have a chance to check Twitter at all tonight?
We've gone through a lot of.
No, I'm not talking about the fantastic and awesome Pucknology After Dark crew that we love. And hey, thanks for hanging out with us. No, I'm talking about the Sharks insiders, as in Kevin Kurz, where he is quoting McClellan as saying, "We have some individuals that want to go to the right areas and score, and others are not there at the right time, and they're not scoring." I don't know about you, but I think that speaks kind of harshly. Well, no, I wouldn't say it harshly because he's not naming names, but I definitely think it speaks to the guys on the top two lines, particularly Marleau. In fact, I had a nice little conversation during the first intermission with a friend of mine who has been a season ticket holder since they started at the Tank, and he is so ready to cut Marleau loose, it's not even funny. And we're talking about a guy who owns 4 different Marleau jerseys. He was a huge supporter of Marleau. He let him go quite a while ago. He is really pissed off at what's happening on the top 2 lines, and I think there's some other people going, at least tonight when I was at the Tank, saying, "Why is Kennedy starting over Goodrow?"
It's a good question. We should probably continue this conversation in another show because it's getting late, and I know Eric has an early morning.
Right.
Some of us couldn't take Uber home tonight, could he?
Shut up.
We were spending too much time looking at a big goddamn semi-truck deliver ice to Levi's.
Another thing that Pavelski said, according to Kurz, bottom line is it's on everybody. We weren't good enough. Not one guy, not 20. We've got to find it. Completely agree with that. Another thing that Shin Thanatos 44 has said, and by the way, if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. With all this awesome talk on Navi, what do you think of Nemo and Stalock? Personally, Nemo's played well. However, he needs to get some back-to-back starts because if Nemo goes down, you're putting in a cold goalie in. What's up?
I'm sorry.
I kind of lost you there.
Yeah, you kind of disengaged when you first started making your point. Can you try that again, please?
Yeah, basically, just saying that Stalock needs to get some more starts in, back-to-backs. What, you can't hear me at all?
All this, like literally at the same point that you started talking about Nemo the last time when you dropped out at the exact same time this time.
Maybe it is time to wrap it up then. Basically, it's just get more time for Stalock. I think Nemo needs some more rest, especially if Nemo goes down.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I don't know that Nemo's going to go down. I doubt that he would. That was another thing that we'd actually talked about tonight during the game with a few fans, was the fact that Stalock at this point had already gotten more starts where I believe after 50 games last season, he was already at I think the 18 start mark, and for him to hit that same start, well, I mean, if you take it all the way out to the end of the season, because obviously he got more starts as the season progressed. Essentially, right now with I think it's 27 games. Am I right, boys?
Yeah.
I believe with 27 games left, Stalock would have to start 10 of them to match his start total from last year.
Mhm.
And I think we can all agree Stalock is not going to start 10 of the next 17. We'd be lucky to see him start 5 of them. I know there's a back-to-back with Arizona, so I'm thinking, oh, well, that'll probably be one. But it all comes down to what we've been talking about for quite a while was we're 3 weeks out now from the trade deadline. You know that Niemi is a free agent at the deadline. If you're not going to trade him, you better sign him. You better come up with Plan B, whatever the hell you plan on doing. How do you let Niemi just walk out the door and get nothing for him if your plan is to go with Stalock and Grosnick next season or whoever? There definitely needs to be a Plan B somewhere in there if you don't plan on keeping Niemi. So what the hell is going on there, and what are you waiting for?
And exactly, I think you have all these trades that can go down, but Doug might be busy at Pebble Beach this week. Who knows? Really quickly, do you have the puck on you, AJ? I have my friend
my God,
who wants to know what that is. While you do that, while you unravel, I'll wrap up. Go, open up your puck. This ought to be good.
No. Go ahead, do your thing. I gotta figure out how the hell to get into this thing.
Oh, jeez, use the sticker.
But this is very cool in unwrapping live. This is kind of cool.
All right, so the Sharks lose 4-1 to the Calgary Flames. They play Washington Wednesday night. There was some confliction here. On CSN earlier, they said they had the game at 7, but I'm pretty sure it was an NBCSN game, and that's at 7:30. I just want to make sure I got that. Yeah, it's at 7:30 on NBCSN, which means what, guys? The first game will go to a shootout.
Of course.
As always.
As always. Because we always know that huge, big Wednesday night rivalry, Capitals and Sharks.
I'm still dumbfounded as to how that can happen, where it seems like every time the Sharks get a national Wednesday rivalry game, the early game always goes long, man.
I know. We are also, and granted we talked about the truck today, we are 12 days away from... Oh, you almost got it?
Jesus Christ, dude! Who put this thing together?
We are almost 12 days. We are 12 days away from the Stadium Series and the Sharks tweet up. As you saw, I was at Levi Stadium today, kind of scoping out everything, and AJ's about to open it up, and he has.
Oh my God! Okay, you know what? Okay, now I have to preface this with the fact that the last 2 pucks that I have drawn when I've bought from when it's been a mystery puck, the last 2 that I've gotten have been a Scott Hannon, which I was none too happy about. Hold on, where is that? So I had my this is my Scott Hannon Happy Holidays 2014. I was none too happy about that. And then one of my last Happy St. Patrick's Day 2014, which was a Justin Braun.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad. Hey, you know what? Fuck, it's not a Matt Irwin, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so tonight I have to say that I think Chris, he might want to give me a couple Pliny's for this puck.
Oh boy!
Can you make it out?
Is that Rafi Torres?
Rafi Torres, that's the one.
I'm suddenly the world's biggest Rafi Torres fan?
No, you always seem like you're kind of a Rafi guy, but I'm telling you though, this is the funniest thing. Is so the last two times after drawing what I thought was drawing dead, I'm sorry, Hannon, you know what? I have a great story about Hannon and Mark Smith, which we will tell in another
Sunday.
Yeah, we'll tell that on Sunday. And actually, I hate to tell you this, guys, but I'm probably going to be starting from an Uber car in that one. But I have to.
We'll talk about that off the air.
Okay, so you jot that one down. Remember to ask me about my story about Mark Smith and Scott Hannon at Mountain Charlie's in Los Gatos. But the last two times that I have drawn a mystery puck, it's been Scott Hannon and Justin Braun. And not that they're not good players, or not that they used to be good players, but the one that I really wanted a hurdle puck, and that's fine. I am more than happy with a Torres puck, but the funniest part tonight was I've been so upset with the last two times that I've drawn where I actually, this time, we just gave the money to the girl behind the table, and I just said, you pick it. And you know what? I am more than happy with the Torres puck. I am more, because you know what? I look at this puck, and you know what I think to myself? It could have been John Scott.
We had to like burn that one on the air.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Okay. Eric done.
I'm going to bed. Good night. Keep it real. Keep it fresh. Keep it real fresh. We'll see you Sunday.
Peace the fuck out.